it is linked so much to the culture of the United States. The parade was on the avenue before this country became a United States. First parade was 1762. And then you had so many Irish people that came after the famine, who were in the war, in the Civil War on both sides. And there's great history to it. And then you had the Fighting 69th Regiment, and it has such an American tradition.
Memories of the St. Patrick's Day Parade produced by Glucksman Ireland House at New York University, drawing on interviews collected as part of its oral history project and deposited in the Archives of Irish America.
It is one of the oldest traditions in the country.
Former parade secretary Martin Dunn.
And the Irish became so much part and parcel of New York City, isn't it? They came to the tough, the good and the great. They rose from the bottom to be part and parcel of the city. And there's a great affinity for the Irish in America, and it's kind of highlighted here in New York City. And the people, the parade itself, of course, is a spectacle. It's not a rowdy parade. It is not. It is a parade where you march for God, home, and country, and that is still the mainstay of the parade today. And all creeds march in the parade, from your school bands to your organizations, from so many places. And it has held its own.
– 2011 is the 250th anniversary of the St. Patrick's Day Parade in New York City, the longest-running parade in the United States. It's an event that celebrates the presence of the Irish in New York. Glucksman Ireland House interviews dozens of Irish Americans every year through its oral history program. The parade invariably emerges as a memory for many and clearly holds great significance in the community as a day when families gather, as a rite of passage for new immigrants, and as a source of great ethnic pride. This anniversary seemed the appropriate opportunity for Ireland House to share some of these memories of the parade. We start with historian John Ridge, author of the recently released Celebrating 250 Years of the New York City St. Patrick's Day Parade, published by Quinnipiac University Press, who gives a bit of background on the parade.
The British Army that was in New York, they had an Irish regiment, and that regiment just marked the feast day of the patron saint of Ireland with a parade, fife and drum, that sort of thing. And this was done apparently in all the Irish military units that were organized. Wherever they would mark St. Patrick's Day. It switched over after the American Revolution to militia units. And now you got volunteer American units, but some of them were predominantly Irish because people recruited by affinity. Then it was in the 1820s that it finally switched over to civic societies. And actually it was a combination of the militia units leading a parade and a civic society coming afterwards. The parade became so big in the 1840s with multiple units that they organized a parade committee.
The parade is still run by a committee. In 2011, the St. Patrick's Day Parade Committee remains all volunteer and works 365 days a year to organize, finance, televise, and publicize the event that hosts about 200,000 marchers, 2 million spectators along Fifth Avenue, and almost 1 million viewers on television and the web. One of the primary tasks of the committee is to select a Grand Marshal each year. Hilary Byrne, Executive Corresponding Secretary, and one of the directors of the Parade Committee, explains the selection process.
Ultimately, it's voted on by the Board of Directors. So what happens is, in essence, the chairman of the parade has a name, or gets a name, or someone suggests a name to him, and he thinks about it, and then he'll come to me, he'll come to a couple other members on the Board of Directors, and we'll, like I say, the name pops up, and we go, perfect. And then by the time we go to the Board of Directors to get the final vote, it's a done deal. It's like you have to help to fund the parade, and one way of doing is to try and make sure that you not just select a person who has done wonderful things in their life and in their community, but also a person that will help to bring in people.
Grand Marshals are chosen for their personal accomplishments, contributions to the Irish American community, and their visibility. In 2011, Bronx-born Mary Higgins Clark, internationally known author and philanthropist for Irish and Catholic causes, will lead the parade in a horse-drawn carriage. In 2008, the committee chose ESPN soccer analyst and Irish immigrant Tommy Smith, commonly called the People's Choice because of his popularity among the New York Irish immigrant community and fraternal organizations. The 2010 choice, Police Commissioner Ray Kelly and Smith, remember their experiences with the parade.
Mostly, as an adult,
New York City Police Commissioner Ray Kelly.
on St. Patrick's Day, I spent my time on Fifth Avenue, mostly as a police officer and the police commissioner, marching in the parade, but never that close to the front of the parade. So it was terrific. It was very enjoyable, even more than I anticipated. I also got an appreciation of how difficult it is to organize something that size. It's huge.
I marched every year that I was here.
Soccer analyst Tommy Smith.
I've done everything that you can possibly do in the parade now. I have the distinction of I've carried the loud banner, I carried a flag in it. In fact, one of the first pictures I remember sending home over the years was me sitting on the sidewalk and I had a hold of the rope, because on the banners you have to carry a rope because of the wind. You try to keep the banner level. And that was my first job, marching for loud, carrying the banner. And I've gone through the whole parade now. I have marched in it, I've announced it, and I've been Grand Marshal. There are very few people who have that record.
The parade is an expression of the Irish presence in New York City. As such, it often reflects the shifting dynamics of power and politics within the Irish American community. In 1985, Congressman Peter King, then Nassau County Comptroller, was selected as Grand Marshal to bring attention to civil rights issues in Northern Ireland. Immigrant and Irish lesbian and gay organization founder Anne Maguire fought a very public battle in the early 1990s with parade organizers to find a place for her organization in the parade. Both recall their experiences.
To me, the whole thing was about the North, and that's what it became structured around.
Congressman Peter King.
People who wanted me to get it were supporting me because they were very aggressive in the North. And people who were against me was primarily because, like, for instance, the Irish government boycotted the parade. Gareth Fitzgerald boycotted the parade. Cardinal O'Connor didn't know what he was going to do, and then O'Connor agreed to shake hands with me on the steps of the cathedral.
We're gay, we're Irish, and we want to march in this parade like anyone else.
ILGO founder Anne Maguire.
Everyone else, you can march with your county, you can march with your union, you can, march as a school, a university. We want to march as gay people.
What makes the parade a true parade is that it only includes people and bands. No floats or commercial entertainment have ever been allowed to participate. The pure definition of a parade is a long, moving line of people, and on March 17th, that can be something very dramatic.
Like, our parade is very unique.
Parade organizer Hilary Byrne.
We just got marchers. Most other parades have floats and Mardi Gras type festivities around it. We're very unique. We're, in essence, what a parade is. It's people parading. A parade, like in military terms, is people marching. A parade in New York City is a marcher's parade.
The St. Patrick's Day Parade in New York,
Historian John Ridge.
and maybe a couple of others, are genuine. This is like the traditional 19th century parade. So it's only people. I mean, there's schools and things, but it's still a people's parade. Comerford used to say that all the time. It's not floats. It's a people's parade.
I used to stand out in Fifth Avenue, in the middle of Fifth Avenue, and you'd watch the sea of people come down, up, down into 50th, there was a hollow of 59th Street, and then up towards the Review Stand. And the first year I was there, like I could say, I was only here 2 weeks, and I did that for almost 15 years. I would stand in Fifth Avenue, and it gives me goosebumps. And it gives me a tremendous, and I mean this most sincerely, a sense of pride in my heritage.
For many Irish New Yorkers, some of the best memories of St. Patrick's Day occurred off the parade route.
Parade, the St. Patrick's Day parade,
Former NYPD police officer Sergeant Ed Burns.
is really, for people of my generation, it's an enormous event. I mean, I marched in that parade every year. Even when I was a little boy, I marched with my elementary school. The parade has been an integral part of my life for as long as I can remember. And when my brother Patty was the vice president of the PBA, and I was a pretty famous cop with that stuff on the radio and all that, we used to all march together in the parade, and then we'd go to Mike Donohue's restaurant on Lexington Avenue. Mike is since dead. And we would take over the whole back of Mike's place on St. Patrick's Day. We have this enormous party, gigantic, people coming from all over.
I had played for Louth.
Soccer analyst Tommy Smith.
As a minor player before I came out, I got in one Louth team, and we played in Crow Park, and we walked out and we were marched around with the band because we got to the Leinster final. This was my All-Ireland final. I mean, here I was marching up Fifth Avenue with all the Louth people around, and a beautiful we have the most beautiful banner. We have Mary of the Gaels and Bridget on the front of it, and that was I always wear, if you notice in pictures, you'll always see that I wear St. Bridget's cross because of the Knock Bridge. And here she was on the front of the banner, and on the back of the banner is the High Cross. And all these guys who I had just, I came here in August, so I started going, and I went to the Louth dance, and I started playing with Louth. So I had met all these guys, and so many men that I was starting to grow and have such great respect for, like Stephen Garvey and Mike Wogan and all these guys. And here they were saying, okay, Smitty, little Smitty, they used to call me, little Smitty, you take one of these ropes, So
it was always a big event, and we got to see a lot of relatives.
Historian John Ridge.
Then we met at the parade, and my father was always saying hello to people passing up the street, as my mother did too. But what they did was they looked out for people that they knew, and there were a lot of people that marched up the avenue. In fact, it was almost a contest sometimes between the bystanders to see who could attract as many passers-by to come over and say, "Oh, there, Mark, how are you doing?" That sort of thing. And carry on. And of course, they would always say, straight ahead, as if they needed some direction.
We used to go on St. Patrick's Day.
Irish dancer and teacher Joan Dolan.
We always brought our children and marched in the parade. Always. Kept them out of school. And then for a number of years we would haul the children to the St. Patrick's Night Ceilidh. I'll never forget it. They'd be exhausted, and so would we, but we'd go to it.
The Limerickmen's Benevolent and Social Society, that was very big in their lives.
Irish speaker and language teacher Eileen Zarell.
We went to lots of their dances on St. Patrick's Day, St. Patrick's Night. And I remember when I was small, I loved it because they would dress up the littler girls in pretty dresses, and we would present flowers to the officers. So we thought we were really quite extraordinary. But it was good fun. And I remember, too, going there when I was a teenager. I'd bring my girlfriends with me, and then by that time we were dancing with the cops and the firemen, not with our uncles anymore.
Beyond its ethnic heritage, the parade has become an important New York City event as well as a symbol of belonging for the Irish. Parade organizer Hilary Byrne.
It's the symbolism of us ringing the bell at the New York Stock Exchange, the symbolism that the parade has come so far. The financial world, the most world-recognized financial center recognizes us. 150 million people watch that every day. The symbol of New York, the Empire State Building, honors the parade. I says the symbolism that around that is enormous to the parade.
The parade is not just a celebration of 250 years of the Irish presence in New York City, their survival and success, but it is at the same time a recognition of American diversity and acceptance. Historian John Ridge.
You know, the wonderful thing is that in this country, people are tolerated for amazing things. For 250 years, the Irish have had a foreign festival in the streets of New York, the major streets of New York, and they've been tolerated. Well, that's a very good thing to say about America. You know, it's not just an Irish celebration, it's an American celebration because it's a great tribute to the tolerance of America and the traditions here.
For Glucksman Ireland House, this is Linda Dowling Almeida. Thank you for listening, and happy St. Patrick's Day.